Happy June. Happy June. This month, like I said, is the mystical marriage, and today's talk is I do. Do you? I do. Do you? Marriage. What do you think? Well, do you like weddings? Do you love weddings? You go to weddings. Don't you cry at weddings? Weddings are like so romantic. They're so solemn. They're so sacred. Don't you cry? Sometimes we cry. Sometimes we laugh. Look at this. Look at this one.
Andrew placed the ring on Melissa's hand and repeat after me. I, Andrew Paul Daniel Engstrom.
I'm not putting it on the wrong way.
I, Andrew Paul Daniel Engstrom.
I, Andrew Paul Daniel Engstrom.
Do take Melissa Renee Warren.
Do take Melissa Renee Warren.
To be my lawfully wedded wife.
To be my lawfully and pancakey. I've been scared of this all my life. Just give her a second.
It's okay, folks. I've seen this before. Okay. I, Andrew Paul Daniel.
See, man and wife.
The court will take a recess.
People are afraid of doing that their whole lives, right? Waffly wedded wife. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. But you know, we do love the show, don't we? We love the wedding, the ceremony, the sacredness, the pomp, all of that stuff. And you know, in California, there are really only two parts of the ceremony itself that are the legal parts. There's only two parts. First, the officiate has to issue the charge, which means they have to make sure that both the people are there of their own accord. You know, you are here willingly to take this person in matrimony. And then the second part is the officiate must publicly pronounce them married. That's it. Those are the only two things that are legal for the ceremony in California. You know, there's other parts that you need for the legality. You need a license, you need witnesses, that sort of stuff. But the actual ceremony itself, those are the only two things you need. It's really very, very simple. Everything else is fluff. The vows, the processional, the recessional, the giving away, or the music, all of that, it's all filler. The only thing you need is, do you, I now pronounce, let's go eat cake. That's it. That's really all there is to it. But you know, marriage itself has a long and winding history. Pair bonding began in the Stone Age with the organizing and controlling of people's sexual conduct. That's really what its purpose was. Then there's polygyny, right? One man, many wives. Many cultures around the world, well, the ancient world did it. Solomon had 700 wives, right? 700, could you imagine? I know, 700, I know, it's amazing. Now, and it's still practiced in some parts of the Muslim world today, multiple wives. Now, in the Middle Ages, the practice of marriage was to amass wealth or to retain power in certain families. In 1215, marriage was declared a sacrament by the Catholic Church. But then the Protestant Reformation came along and denied that and said that it was a civil ceremony best left to the government, and it's just a legal contract between two consenting adults. Then the church intervened and said it was a sacrament once again and must be officiated by a priest or a bishop and must be in public and must be witnessed. So there were, and there are some places that still practice arranged marriages, right? Where two people who have never even met each other are betrothed to each other and they marry each other because it is a business deal between the two families. Then there are dowries and bride prices that have to be arranged. This woman for 2 goats and a cow, maybe a little farmland, and you can have her. She's all yours. Whatever, and it still goes on to this day. There have been laws regarding who we can marry, sometimes marrying only within our own social class, right? It was very popular in England. You could only marry within your own social class. Marrying outside was forbidden. She married beneath her. Oh, married beneath her station was illegal in some cases. Consanguinity, marrying within your own bloodline, is forbidden. Siblings, parents and children. We have laws against it in this country. 30 states in this country have laws against marrying first cousins, which means 20 states don't. Wonder where they are. For years, it was against the law to marry outside of your own religion. You couldn't marry outside of your own religion. The churches wouldn't allow it. Interracial marriage was illegal up until 1967 in this country. Loving v. Virginia, right? 1967. And I am not even going to go into the history of divorce, because that's long and windy too. But for all of those people who say we should not redefine traditional marriage, too late. We've been doing it for thousands of years. It's too late. Now, the reason we're talking about marriage, like I said, is that this month's theme is the mystical marriage. And what a great place to start having that discussion about the mystical marriage, but with the actual marriage. Start with the out-picturing, the physical thing that we do. We're born, we grow, we learn, we go to school, we get jobs, we meet people, we make friends, we fall in love. We fall out of love. We fall in love again. We do all kinds of things. And then sometimes we meet someone to spend the rest of our lives with. And we want to formalize that relationship with a commitment, a public commitment, a ceremony of marriage, if we're allowed to. And so we go about the business of planning a wedding. Hooray! We're planning a wedding, yay, a party for us. That's really what it is. And some couples spend more time planning the wedding than they do planning the marriage. And that's the unfortunate part, because that goes down the road to the whole divorce thing, but that's another talk for another time. The wedding might last 10, 12 hours. The marriage is the thing that happens when all the guests go home. That's what you're left with. But we do love the show, don't we? We do love the wedding. So we find someone that we admire. We find someone that reflects back to us all of our best qualities, all of the qualities we love about life. Or we find the person that has the least amount of baggage we've ever met before, or at least the baggage we can handle. Little carry-on baggage, not those big gigantic trunks. We find someone that reflects back to us all of the good that we believe life is. Because what we know in this teaching is that that's what life is. It is a reflection. The outer life, the physical world is but a reflection of our consciousness. It is a reflection of the inner. So our outer experience is always a reflection of our inner state of mind, our inner consciousness. It's always the way we create, right? If there is one God, if there is one life, if there is one energy, and Ernest Holmes said that our thoughts are things, that they are powerful. We are always out picturing on the physical level what we are holding in consciousness to be true for us on some level. Because we have within us all of the qualities of God. We talk about them every week: abundance and balance and beauty and joy and freedom and wisdom and wholeness and unity, and all of them, power and peace. They are all qualities of God. Therefore, they are qualities that exist within us because we are made of the same stuff. We exist as some out-picturing of the one life of God's. So everything that God is flows through us. All of those qualities flow through us. And then we wind up stumbling around, and meeting someone that reflects back to us the things that we believe to be true about life, about love, about joy, about freedom and order, and all of those things. So when I am referring to the theme for the month, the mystical marriage, I'm really referring not to the physical person that you have drawn into your life that, you want to spend the rest of your life with. You found Mr. Right, or at least Mr. Right now. I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about the mystical marriage that is within us. The mystical marriage, for me, the thing that I refer to is the balance that we have within us. The energies of the archetypal feminine and the archetypal masculine, because we all have all of them. Because we all have all of the qualities of God. And these archetypes, remember, they're not gender specific. These archetypes are organizing principles around which this energy gathers. So these organizing principles are at work in our lives all the time. The archetypal feminine is the receptive, the intuitive, the relationship, the circular, the inner guidance. These are all qualities of the divine feminine within every person. I'm not just talking women here, so guys, listen up. It's about everyone. The archetypal feminine exists in everyone, and it's about in relationship to. It is circular, it is intuitive, it is receptive, it is wisdom, it is the knower. And then you have the archetypal masculine, which is the doer, is the action-oriented energy of us. It is the linear thinker, the strength, the goal-oriented part of ourselves. And so you can see how both and, when integrated properly, when balanced properly in all of our lives, leads us to live a balanced life. So this physical out-picturing of finding someone in the outer world is really the inner work showing up in the outer world. We are both and. We are both and. And so for me, this is the mystical marriage. It is the balance inside of us, and then we out-picture it in the physical world with someone else. And we reproduce this inner world outside. But it is the balancing of the feminine and the masculine energies, and it's finding out that we're both and. We have everything within us, right here, right now, to be successful, to be happy, to be intuitive, and to be driven, to be goal-oriented, and to be in relationship-oriented. We have everything in us to be strong and to be caring, to be intuitive and to be decisive, all of it. Does that make sense? Yes, we have it all. We do have it all. And we don't need, well, I could just stop right there. We don't need. But in particular, we don't need another person to complete us. And you hear that a lot in wedding ceremonies. One of the things that I resist doing when I officiate at a wedding ceremony is that beautiful, beautiful part of the ceremony called the unity candle. Has anyone ever seen it? Yeah. It's a lovely ceremony, and I really, really do like it. But the part that makes me want to throw up is when they have these two lovely candles, one representing the one person and one representing the other person, and they're just so great, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful ceremony. And then they both come over and they take their respective candles and they light the center candle. They light the unity candle, which means the beginning of their life together, the beginning of their joining of their energies, and then what do? They blow out their own candles. And it's like, it's like that's the last thing in the world you want to do. Do not blow out your individual candle. And I counsel my couples not to do that part, because you don't lose your individuality when you join into a relationship like that. Khalil Gibran said that you are, the oak and the cypress don't grow in each other's shadows, and that they retain their own strengths and their own wisdoms and their own individuality, even united in that common bond of matrimony. Anyway, I discuss that with my couples. So it's like that. You don't lose yourself in relationship, just like you don't lose yourself in the mystical marriage. You enhance yourself. You enhance your life by balancing the feminine and the masculine. Just take your individual candle and put it back in the holder lit, and everything will be okay. We don't cease to become individuals. So Ernest Holmes said this in What Religious Science Teaches. He says, the spirit is both an overdwelling and an indwelling presence. We are immersed in it, and it flows through us as our very life. Through intuition, each person perceives and directly reveals God. We do not have to borrow our light from another. Nothing could be more intimate than the personal relationship between the individual and the divine presence, which is both the center and the source of each person's being. That is the seed of perfection that is nestled within each one of us. Nothing is closer to us than our relationship with the divine. Which brings me to that ultimate mystical marriage, the truth that we are one with the divine. What are we talking about when we talk about all of these qualities of God? We're talking about the divine that lives within us. It's not out there. God's not sitting somewhere out on a cloud looking down at us, rewarding some, punishing others. God is within us, and we are the ones that need to come to that truth. We come to the truth of our own divinity, and that is the ultimate mystical marriage, is to put down the false beliefs and the words of error that keep us thinking we are separate from our God or separate from our good. Because when we get it, when we truly get it, this is living the fourth kingdom of consciousness. We talk about how we discover God within us. And when we first start on this spiritual path, we talk about, things are done to us. That's kingdom one consciousness. That's the victim. Things are done to us. I have no control in life. My boss does it, my spouse, my work, the government. It's everybody else's fault why I'm not happy, but mine. And then we enter into kingdom two consciousness, where things are done by us. We come to a teaching like this where we realize, oh my God, there is something greater than I am, and I can use it. Like Ernest Holmes said, there is something, a power and presence within me that responds to my thoughts, that outpictures according to my predominant beliefs. And when I awaken to that, the demonstrations begin to change. So then I start going around manifesting all kinds of stuff. This is the honeymoon period. This is what they call the period of princes' palaces and parking places. Because we start manifesting like heck. All over the place. And then something interesting happens. We begin to surrender to this power because we know it has our best interests at heart. We surrender to that power, and then we begin to allow Spirit to operate through us. We become that clear and empty vessel for Spirit to operate through us. And what the good is that we demonstrate, it's not just my good, it's our good. It is the good of the group. It is the good of the community. It's the good of the world. We show up as peace. We show up as love. We show up as all kinds of things. And that mystical marriage occurs when we go one step even beyond that. Beyond allowing Spirit to work through us, we surrender to a greater idea of Spirit as us. And this is where Jesus said, when you see me, you see the Father. Because he knew of his oneness with Spirit. He wasn't questioning it. He wasn't doubting it. He wasn't forgetting it. He just knew wherever he stood, God stood. And that is the fourth kingdom of consciousness. That is as us. We show up as Spirit. That is the mystical marriage. That's where we are all going. That's the walk we are all taking with each other right now. We're remembering and we're forgetting. And we're remembering and we're forgetting. And we're walking along and we're reminding each other by our presence in each other's lives. We are reminding each other who we are. And we stumble and we fall and we become afraid and we do stupid shit and we do things that... We do stuff that we really ought not to be doing. And then we remember who we are again. We remember again. You know, it's like it goes beyond what would Jesus do. We move into what would Jesus think. What would Jesus think? What would Jesus think about this situation? What would Spirit think about this situation? And we begin to act as if. We begin to become that thing, Spirit in form on earth. And so where I am, the Father is, and where you are sitting, the Father is, or Mother, Father, God, whatever makes you happy. You know, whatever terminology you want to use, where I am, Spirit is. Because that is the truth of our beingness. That is the mystical marriage. There's nothing you can do about it. You can't not accept the fact that you're part divine. You can just ignore it. You cannot believe it. You can think you're alone in the world. It's just not the truth of you. The truth of you is there is a seed of perfection. God planted it there itself. That you are a divine being in human form. We are spirit, soul, and body. We are all one. Spirit, soul, and body. Those are the aspects of us. We manifest love in the physical world as a symbol of divine love. We look at others and we develop relationships with others as an outward demonstration of an inner principle. God is universal love. Therefore, that is the truth of me. Therefore, that is what I demonstrate out in the world. I demonstrate that which I am. And what I am is unconditional love. All of the other stuff we learned. The us and them stuff we learned. We didn't know anything about us and them when we were babies. We learned it through our societies, through our cultures, through our families. That we can't marry outside of our religion or our race, or we can't marry same sex, or we can't do this, we can't do that. We learned all that stuff all along the way. The truth is we are love. God is love and we are that. Spirit has unconditional love for its creations, and we are the creations. Lord Tennyson said this: self, the infinite, the transcendent love is closer than breathing and nearer than hands and feet. Closer than breathing and nearer than hands and feet. This is the truth of us. This is the truth of us. That mystical marriage is a thing that took place before you were even born. There is a seed of perfection nestled within you that is the divine life of God in you. And you are here to live that life. To live as God lives through you and as you in the world. Ernest Holmes said this. He said, all the sacred scriptures have proclaimed the unity of life, that every man is a center of God consciousness. This is the meaning of the mystical marriage, the union of the soul to its source. Jesus boldly proclaimed that he was one with the Father. This is the basis of all New Thought teaching, the spiritual union of all life. There it is, that's it. We are one. We look different and we carry around different bodies. These vehicles we've chosen this time around are different and we look like we're separate and apart. But you know the energy, right? We talk about energy. The physicists talk about energy. Everybody talks about energy. There's no difference in the energy. The energy of you and me, it's the same energy. The energy that drives the stars and creates gravity and puts the planets in its orbits. It's all energy. It's all energy. And what do they say? What do the physicists say about energy? It can neither be created nor destroyed, right? It always is. Always has been, always will be. That's God. Same thing. We're just calling it by two different names. That is the truth of us. There is no separation. There is no difference. We are all one. We are all one. And it is only our mind, our individual use of mind, that would deny this truth. It is only our individual use of mind that says, no, you are you and I'm me and we're separate and apart, and I don't even like it. That's just our individual mind, and it's our fear, and it's our separation, and it's the illusion of our being separate and apart from God. And how long are we going to carry that around? And when are we going to make the decision to drop it? Because you know it takes more energy to carry around the illusion of separation and the illusion of judgment and the illusion of otherness. It takes more energy for us to hold on to our judgments and our prejudices than it would be just to drop them. It takes no energy at all just to drop the stuff we're carrying. And when we drop it, we come to the truth of who we are. That there's only one of us in the room. It's called spirit. And it's showing up as you. And it's showing up as me. And it's showing up as all life everywhere. But it's all one. Ernest Holmes said this. He said, the Spirit of God is an undivided and indivisible wholeness. It fills all time with its presence, and it permeates all space with its activity and its thought. Your endeavor, then, is not so much to find God as to realize God's presence and to understand the presence is always with you. Nothing can be nearer to you than that which is the very essence of your being. Your outward search for God culminates in the greatest of all possible discoveries, that you find God at the center of your own being, that life itself flows up from within you. That's the mystical marriage. You are one with God. Not even with, because with even sounds like separation. You are one in God. You are one in God. You are living the life of God. Each and every one of you. And so when you leave here today and when you go out throughout your day, you just keep looking in the eyes of God. And God will be looking back at you in each and every person you meet. And how wonderful that is. Thank you so much.